And we are live.
All right.
So here we are. I am Florence Renee, VP of Publicity and Sponsorship for the PMI Central Illinois chapter. And I'm here today with Keisha Lewis. But before we go into Keisha, I did want to explain why we're here, what we're hoping to accomplish basically in this, I don't know, maybe an hour long live event. This happens to be our very first live for 2023. We used to do them more regularly during COVID and under the last VP of Publicity, Bobby Chiruk. So he is really the guy, the one who initiated this initiative to get the chapter out on social media in front of people, not necessarily chapter members, but anybody who cares about project management, anyone who has an interesting story, interesting background. We wanted to have conversations with them. So that's the gist of PMI-CIC on the air. As far as I'm concerned, my goal is to carry the baton and try to do this program justice. And I kind of thought I would start with Keisha Lewis. We met through a mutual social media connection. I like what she's up to. I thought she had a very interesting background, and she's a fellow PMP. She's part of the PMI community. So I thought she would be a perfect guest to kick off our first episode with. So with that, let me go quickly into a quick disclaimer, okay, because we don't want trouble. So the views on tonight's live stream are basically mine and Keisha's views. They do not reflect PMI Central Illinois. They don't reflect our current employers or past employers. They're basically our own views and thoughts from our lived experiences and education and general knowledge. So, and with that, I think, Keisha, we can get started and have a conversation. Again, I keep emphasizing conversation because I don't want a Q&A. I told you, and you knew that, and
Yeah.
you were rocking with that idea. So this is a conversation between two women on Women's History Month. I guess on the tail end of Women's History Month, talking about our careers, your career mostly, because you are the woman of the hour. And we're talking about what you've been up to. ChatGPT, for example, a big initiative, a big interest of yours at the moment. And so here we are. We are live. I can't really see how many people are on the live.
If you're watching, let us know where you're watching from in the comments.
I can see, okay. See, I have to be, hi, Christine. I see Christine. I see Carla. Those are my ladies from the Power Circle and also the Black Women in Project Management group.
Okay.
So thank you for joining. If you guys are here, definitely just comment, say hi. That way I know you came by and support. Yep. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So it's about Janice. Wonderful. Thank you for making it. Janice was our speaker, our kickoff speaker for our very first chapter event last January.
Okay.
She's an expert on burnout. She had a lot of tips for our members on how to deal and better manage burnout. She's somebody that if you are on social media, you might want to check her page out and follow her for sure.
Okay. Janice, put your links in the chat so that we can connect with you.
Yes. Yes. And all of you too, ladies and gent, I'm sure there has to be one guy, right, who's tuned in. Put in your LinkedIn profile so we can connect, and try to, stay connected that way. All right. So it's about 5 minutes after, Keisha. Okay. So I know a little bit about you. So I kind of want you to kind of explain to us, the people watching, tell us who you are, What are you about? Where did you start your project management career? Where are you based even? Are you from Central Illinois or um, anything that you don't mind sharing? That's what we would like to talk about.
Okay. Well, first off, thanks for connecting with me and inviting me for Women's History Month. This is exciting. But hello, everyone. My name is Keisha Lewis, and I'm actually located in Maryland, right outside of Washington, D.C. So, no, I am not in Central Illinois. I've been in IT for about 25 years, and I would say 17 of those years have been in project management. Currently, I'm the Chief Enterprise Project Officer for local county government here in Maryland. This is a new role for me. I've been, I think, about 4 months now. And in this role, I'm really responsible for establishing and managing an enterprise IT project management office, so an EPMO. And my office is responsible for managing all of the high risk, high impact IT projects, as well as for developing project management and standards for the county.
That sounds like a lot on your plate.
It
So
is.
how big is your team? Are you a one-woman team or like how big is your staff?
No, thank goodness I couldn't do it alone. So right now we are it's myself and then a team of 4 others.
Okay, that's a good size.
Yeah.
Are they new or are they tenured? Your team?
They're tenured, so that's made my transition even easier.
Yes, that's good. So I'm actually from the East Coast, and I think that's one of the reasons that you and I probably clicked.
Okay.
I was born in Haiti, but I was raised in New Jersey.
Okay.
In fact, just last week we celebrated our 30th anniversary of being here stateside. But I
Okay.
am a Jersey girl, so I love Maryland. I
Okay.
was an intern, in undergrad in Washington, D.C. I
Okay.
love that area. I love the seafood. Yeah. So,
So since we're shouting out hometowns, so even though I've been in Maryland for about 25 years, as long as my career, I'm actually originally from Virginia. So from Southern Virginia. So shout out to anybody who's watching from the 757.
Nice. That's good. So, do you currently have a local chapter? I know you are part of the PMI community. You went to global, like I did, with several chapter members. Like, where is your chapter?
Yeah, so I'm currently a member of the Southern Maryland chapter. I actually joined during the pandemic, and so I've been participating virtually because our events have been virtual. But I've been able to take advantage of the pandemic because since all of the chapters events across the US or the world have been virtual, I call myself an honorary member of a lot of chapters because I go to all of their virtual events. So, and as you said, this past December, I was privileged to attend the PMI Global Summit in person in Las Vegas. And actually, I've applied to be a speaker for this coming year's summit. So, fingers crossed that my proposal is selected.
Now, that must have taken you a lot of nerves, shall we say, for you to actually want to be on that big stage. What made you decide to throw your hat in the ring, if you will?
Well, after attending, I could really appreciate all of the content that the speakers were sharing, and I just said, hey, I can do that too. And it's like I added to my bucket list. This is a bucket list item to be able to speak at this conference while I was sitting there. And so when I saw the call for proposals come out, yeah, I applied on the last day, but I did apply. That's the project manager for you, right?
We're rooting for you. And I was planning on going. And hopefully, if you are selected, I will make sure to look for your name so I can hop on your session and take a front seat so I can watch you and support you. Because I had a great time.
You can probably guess what I would like to speak about. But
Oh,
we can talk about
I
that later.
know. It's gonna be, and I'm sure it's gonna be a wonderful session. I think this year's global Chat GPT has to be one of the top three topics.
Yeah.
I can't see what the other top three topics will be.
Yes.
It has
Yeah.
to be. I'm just gonna have to call it.
Yeah. It's going to be either Chat GPT or just artificial intelligence. So
Yeah. Yep. Yep. So you are involved in PMI. When did you get your PMP?
I obtained my PMP in, I think it was about 2007.
Oh,
Yeah, so I've had it for a while.
no
Yeah.
time. Do you have
Yeah.
any other, like the micro credentials, any of the agile stuff? Do you have any of that?
Yeah. Last year I got one of the newest credentials, the Agile Hybrid Project Pro.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was a really cool one to get since it was new. And since things are changing so much with project management, rarely are you going to, find a project that's managed totally waterfall or totally agile. It's going to be a mix. So it's important to gain those skills to be able to manage hybrid projects.
Mm-hmm. Lifelong learner, basically. That's what I'm picking up from you. Like always looking for new information. You are into technology, obviously, with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Early adopter would be my label for you, if you can allow me to label you.
I think that's correct.
Right. So that question goes in line with personal brand. Do you feel like you have a personal brand? And
yeah, I think I do. Typically when I'm introducing myself, I tell people that my heart sits at the intersection of technology and project management with some marketing sprinkled on top.
wow.
So yeah, and the thing is, I've been really fortunate throughout my career, so that everywhere that I've landed, I've been able to work within those three boxes. All of my projects, all of my teams fit somewhere within those boxes. So I've been fortunate in that respect.
So you've had would you say your career has been well-rounded? You've found fulfillment. Do you feel like you have a good work-life balance? How do you handle that?
Yeah, I would say it's been really well-rounded. I'll kind of go back and talk a little bit about how I started. I actually started as a COBOL/mainframe programmer. I know I'm dating myself, but I was probably one of the youngest COBOL programmers there were. And so I transitioned from that into web development, and I really enjoyed that. And I think the thing that made me leap from there into project management is I was really looking for an area where there was clear career progression opportunities. And I also wanted to work in a space that was less subjective. So, when you're dealing with design, everyone has an opinion. I want the button blue. I want it black. Well, I'm a black or white person, no shades of gray. I like for things to compete and to compute and to connect. And so I think project management was a good way for me to get there.
That's wonderful. So that's been your career for the most part. If you had to do it over, would you take the same route, or do you think you would have? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think that programming background is a benefit for me when I'm managing projects. The projects, my specialty area really are development, digital web projects. And so it's easy for me to be the translator between the developers and then maybe our stakeholders, because I was once in that seat. So I think that has served me well.
So did you know how you said you kind of have a trifecta when it comes to your brand? Did you always have that as your brand, or did it just come together over time? You know what I mean?
I definitely think it came together, over time. I started, in technology. My undergrad degree is in technology. And I think just getting exposure to, different opportunities and different types of projects, then, my eyes kind of opened up a little to marketing and then the progression into project management.
That makes sense. I think for most people, it's one of those things that kind of it comes together because nobody really, as far as I know, I can't imagine any little kid out there telling their mom or dad that they want to become project managers, right?
Yeah.
Probably like a doctor or lawyer, a nurse or a teacher, but project manager. I guess in my case, I knew project managers existed, but I knew it from the context of construction.
Okay.
Like the builder, but I didn't know it was like so vast and that it crossed so many industries until I got the exposure, and then one thing led to another, and here I am 15 years later. So it's a really wonderful career path or industry to get on, and I hope more young people, especially young people of color,
Yes.
Join this very. I think it's a very important field, and it pays well too.
Yes.
Let's not lie, right?
Yeah.
So you currently are part of a chapter, but are you in chapter leadership, or are you strictly just attending meetings here and there?
I'm just attending meetings here and there just to learn more about the chapter and the kind of structure and the things that they're doing. But I do eventually plan to, pursue some leadership opportunities.
I think you are cut up. You are cut out for it. I definitely can see you getting into a chapter and making it better. So I would say, as a chapter leader, I would encourage you to do it now as opposed to later, because I'm finding that I wish I had done it sooner.
Okay.
So fruitful and so so beneficial, and personally and professionally, that I'm like, why didn't I do this sooner? So I encourage you to go for it.
Okay. I will definitely look into it.
Yes. So do you think overall, like all your project management skills, like the theory, the PMBOK, have you been able to apply it in your personal life? Or why or why not?
Yeah, absolutely. I think all of the best practices and the principles and the techniques and the things that we have to learn and apply every day as a project manager, I use those things to manage my life. I look at my life as a project. So for instance, let's say I'm contemplating a large purchase or an investment. I naturally use the risk evaluation and risk management skills that I've gained as a project manager to help me make the best decisions and just to protect myself.
Awesome. And funny enough, we just had Tiago Mateus, a member of the Portugal chapter, speak on that very, very topic, where he basically connected the PMBOK, the project management principles, to life principles. And he was here last 2 weeks ago, and he did a really wonderful presentation on Project Your Life. That was the name of the presentation, Project Your Life.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a really good event. Very interesting to see how it's so applicable in so many ways personally. Mm-hmm. But for me, I am naturally a planner, so it kind of fits that I'm doing this. I didn't know I would be doing it, but knowing who I am deep down, it all makes sense. Yeah.
And I say the same thing, at my core. Yeah. A project manager is, who I am. I don't have to fake it. I don't have to pretend to be. That is just who I am at my core. I'm the queen of making lists. I'm the Post-it note girl, so that's just me.
On that topic, my mom had a 60th birthday party last year.
Okay.
It's myself and 3 siblings. We gave her a surprise party. We had a party planner, right? And I was watching the lives that I took the other day, and I was literally project managing the event instead of, being on the dance floor. And
Yeah.
I was trying to, like, making sure everything was, the way I had it planned out, all the pictures that I wanted, all the picture combinations that I wanted. I was just like, it's just innate. Yeah.
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 And I think, for those who might be considering a career as a project manager, I think those who where it comes natural, where it's innate and you don't have to work at it, those are going to be the project managers that enjoy it the most. Those are going to be the ones that are going to be successful, So
Yeah, it's wonderful. I can't say one bad thing about project management as a career, as a field, and it has so many different roles within it that you don't necessarily have to have the project manager title. You can be a product owner, a product manager. You can be a software developer. You can be a scrum master, a tester, and it's all about making change happen, delivering change. So, on that note, do you feel like you have a mentor, advocate, or a sponsor, or all three, as far as your career, like, to kind of help you move along your project management career? Was it necessary to have one or all three to get to where you are today?
Okay, that's a good question. So I think it's important to kind of define the difference between the three, because I think some people use the terms interchangeably, right? So, when I think of a mentor, I think of someone who is in the position or at the place where I'm striving to be. So there's someone that I can, seek guidance and direction from to help me get to where they are, right? But then I see a sponsor as maybe a senior level staff member who's really invested in my career success. So that's someone who's going to, take me by the hand and pull me up to the next level. They're going to use their influence to do that. They might expose me to opportunities and just open new doors for me, right?
Right.
And then we have the advocate. The advocate is the person who is, when I'm not in the room, this person is going to speak up on my behalf. This person is going to raise my visibility to others. So I will say throughout my career, I have never had a formal mentor, but I have definitely benefited from various sponsor and advocate relationships. And each of them have formed organically. It was nothing that I sought out, nothing that was even intentional, but they were all beneficial. So I do think, though, if I had had a mentor throughout the years, I would have avoided some things that I had to learn the hard way through trial and error. And I do think a good mentor probably can last your entire career, but it's likely that your sponsors and your advocates are going to change as you progress from opportunity to opportunity. So to answer your question, I do think it's important to have them, but I don't think it's necessarily essential that they're all present at the same time, if that makes sense.
That's really, that's a good statement. There's freedom in that. Because for me, it's very challenging to have a mentor, an advocate, a sponsor. At different points, I think I've had more mentors than advocate sponsors. I'm not going to say I got here by myself, but I've never had them all at once, like all three. It's always either I have one or nothing, or it's just been, it kind of made my ride more challenging, like you said, like a lot of lessons learned and trial and error and self-doubt, doubting yourself, and because you don't have the people, the connections and things like that. So I guess you could say we are team sponsors, team advocate, team mentor, and don't sweat it if you don't have all three, but you want to strive to have at least one.
Yes.
Maybe two or one and a half. But in the end, the sooner you realize the differences, the better off you will be as far as your career and also your personal satisfaction too. I find, because I didn't make the difference until much later in my career. I think if I had known, my career would have looked differently.
Right. I agree. Me too.
Yeah. So looks like we're getting some Yep. So Trinika said great point about the, I guess, having all three, and Tanya. Yep. So this is actually resonating with the people watching. And so let's move on to, you know how you talked about trial and error. If you don't mind sharing, what was the one thing that you could say was like the one that kind of taught you the greatest lesson? And I'm sure there will be more, right? But up to now.
Funny, I don't think that there has been one, but I think there have been several, and they all center around transition. And that's me transitioning from one opportunity to another. I can think about various transitions, and I've made some great decisions and I've made some very bad ones. And I just think that if I had a mentor who was with me throughout these transitions, throughout these bumps in the road, a lot of that could have been avoided.
Gotcha. So mostly as far as like leaving one opportunity for another and trying to figure that out by yourself.
The grass was going to be greener and it wasn't.
Yeah, that's a good lesson.
Yeah.
So on that note, advocacy, mentoring, teaching, you are into technology. I know you have an organization, PM Soil. How did you land on such a unique name, first of all?
It's funny. There's always a story, right? So I actually came up with the name after listening to a sermon at church. So, I had been thinking for a while that there was really a need for new and transitioning and even aspiring project managers to have a community where they could really receive the support and the tools and the training to help them progress in the profession. So, one Sunday, the pastor was speaking and he was speaking about good soil. And so the gist of what he was saying was that, if a seed is sown in good soil, then it's going to be fruitful. So I thought, that's what I like to do. I want to create a community where project managers can be planted, where they can grow, and where they can flourish. And that is how PM Soil was born.
That is an amazing backstory. Did you trademark the name, or are you not?
In process. So this is new, like a few weeks new. Oh, so,
okay. Yeah. So you just started the organization officially, but you were doing that kind of stuff before, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so I just, want to figure out how to create a community around it.
Gotcha. And it's through that organization that you created the ebook, ChatGPT for Project Managers, and that one of the posts I landed on in that social media group that we're in. And so you did that through your organization. What got you started in ChatGPT, and what made you decide to go ahead and put these thoughts down for the ebook?
Okay. So, as we said before, I have a natural curiosity about technology. And I just kept hearing about this new thing called ChatGPT, all over social media. And this was even before it hit mainstream news. And so I just said, let me check this out. What is this ChatGPT thing that everybody's talking about? And when I looked into it, I was totally blown away. Like I couldn't stop talking about it. I see some people on here now that I called and said, let's get on a Zoom so that I can show you this new thing that I found. But, you know, what I found was that it was a tool that could really generate very specific human-like responses based on how it's instructed or what it's asked to do. And so as I began to play around with it, the light bulb went off and I began to think how this could really revolutionize project management and make project managers more efficient.
Mm-hmm. So I've dabbled in it, but I'm by no means where you are, right? To the point where you have an ebook, I have nothing. So we're not at the same level, right? So how does it work? Like how does it know what to do? Like what do I have? Like the requirements.
Okay. So the first thing that you have to do is you have to create a free account, right? And so once you create your free account, you can enter in instructions. The official word is called prompts. Prompts are simply instructions or questions that you feed into the system and it gives you responses back. So you want to think about ChatGPT as being like your best buddy virtual assistant. If you had a virtual assistant that could sit next to you every day at work and all you had to do was teach it about your projects and then ask it to complete tasks, that's exactly how ChatGPT works. So when you first log in, you want to teach it about your project because it has memory. So you teach it something, it's going to remember it. Teach it about your project, and then you're going to assign it tasks. You're going to ask it questions. One use case, you know, as project managers, we have to write a lot of documentation, but that's probably not the most enjoyable aspect of the job for most PMs, right? But if a PM learned to use ChatGPT correctly, ChatGPT could help take some of that off of your plate. Mm-hmm. So if you supply the correct background information, it could help you write statements of work, business cases, meeting minutes, and any other key documentation that you can think of. Another great thing, because remember, this is powered by artificial intelligence. This is artificial intelligence. It can also help you make decisions. So again, if you supply it with all of the necessary details, it could even help you develop a project schedule.
Now, with OpenAI, as far as I know, it's an open source, right? Mm-hmm. So what about the proprietary concerns and I guess the privacy concerns? What's your feeling on that today?
That's a timely question due to what happened this week. So this week, there was a security vulnerability that was discovered with ChatGPT where some users could see some of the questions and some of the personal information of other users who was using the tool. And so we know that this tool is new. I think it might even still be in beta right now. So you have to keep that in mind as you're using it, especially if you're working in an environment or for an organization that's working on sensitive projects or, you know, maybe things that have to do with security, or you want to be sure that you're not putting in any personal identifying information or anything like that, because we know that, you know, they're still trying to figure things out. So you want to be careful with what you put in.
Gotcha. And that would make sense, I think, right? Mm-hmm. To just practice, I don't know, with risk in mind and
exactly
security in mind and all that good stuff.
You would not want to put anything in that you don't want to see on the front of the newspaper tomorrow. That's your rule.
or a competitor can actually get their hands on, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, ChatGPT in your book, and from what you just said, it's a game-changing tool, right? Mm-hmm. Not just for project managers, but I'm sure for other disciplines.
Yes.
But it has limitations. I guess the privacy is one, but what else does it have?
Okay, so I'll give you an example of a limitation that I kind of had earlier this week. So another thing to remember about ChatGPT is the data that it's trained on, it ends at September 2021. right? So they're going to update the model, they're going to update the data, as things progress. But right now, it only knows data up to September 2021. So you can't use it to ask about current events because it's not going to be able to tell you because it doesn't know. And it's going to tell you, I don't know. So the issue that I ran up against is I was trying to configure a project management tool and I was running into some issues. And so I said, you know what? Let me just go to Chat GPT and ask for some help. So I went to Chat GPT. I, typed in my issues and I asked it how it could help me resolve these issues so that I could finish setting up this tool. And so it started to give me these detailed step-by-step instructions. And I was so excited. Yes, I'm going to be able to finish this task, take it off my plate. But as I began to walk through the instructions, I noticed that some of the options that it was telling me to click weren't present in the tool, like they were nowhere on my screen. And then I realized the tool had changed a few times since 2021, so the instructions were outdated.
That must have been annoying.
But you have to just keep that at the top of mind.
Yeah.
Knowledge stops at September 2021 for right now.
Wow, that's it. That's a huge gap or an opportunity, right? And I'm sure all the smart people, I heard Microsoft is now committed to it or they're getting into it.
Yes.
So I'm sure that it will be refined and
yes. So soon, when you're using Word and PowerPoint and Excel, Chat GPT is going to be built into those apps.
Yeah. So basically it's the future from, Now, as far as the responses, like you were saying, what you put in, to me, it feels like garbage in, garbage out.
Absolutely. It's funny you say that. I even had that line in my book and I took it out, but I did have that in the book because that's what it is.
Yeah, I took a computer science class in undergrad because I kind of thought I wanted to go there, but then I realized it was like too hard. So I didn't go down that path. So I learned that from undergrad, and it's one of those favorite phrases or catchphrases that stuck with me. And it's so applicable too. So garbage in, garbage out. Is there a format or structure for prompts? You know how with stories, user stories, as a user, blah, 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 the verb, the benefit, like, is there such a structure for prompts?
There's not a structure per se, but you want to include as much information in your prompt as possible because I feel that all prompts should be teaching the system something and then asking for it to do something, right? So I'll give you an example. Let's say you wanted to summarize a set of project updates into a status report, right? So you could just simply type this prompt into ChatGPT. You could say, summarize these updates into a status report and then paste in the updates. The problem with that is when you use prompts that are weak, unfocused, poorly written, unstructured, you're going to get the garbage out. You're going to get inaccurate, incomplete, and inappropriate responses. So for that example, a better prompt would be, here are the project updates. Summarize them into a status report that contains the following sections: accomplishments, issues, risks, action items. Use bullet points. The report should fit within an 8x5 by 11 document with 1-inch margins using 12-point font. Now that's going to get you exactly what you want.
Wow. And you said it with so much authority too. So I guess ChatGPT has no choice. Right? Yeah. Just get it right. And you could never be that, I don't know, succinct with a person, right? But with the system, you can be know, that way with them.
Right. And the other great thing about it is, again, remember, it has memory. So it's going to remember everything it's talked to you about before within that conversation. It's going to remember everything it's giving you. And so if you type in a prompt and it gives you something and it's not exactly what you want, You don't have to start over. You could say, this wasn't what I was looking for. I like it to be this, 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 and then it'll redo it for you. And you can just keep doing that until you get it right.
Gotcha. So there's no limitation on how often. Is that with the paid account or the free account? Like,
Good question. Good question. So I have the free and the paid account, right? So the difference between the free and the free account is based upon the older version, the version 3.5. Whereas over the last couple of weeks, they've come out with a new version 4. And so you only get access to version 4 if you use the paid account. But interestingly enough, the paid account, if you use version 4, they do limit the number of responses because there's so many people hitting it. I think sometimes I've seen where you can only type in 25 prompts an hour or something like that. So they raise it up and down based upon usage.
Gotcha. So I guess they're working out the kinks at this point. So if you are one of those people who don't want to be part of the early adopter roller coaster, right, up and down, you probably want to stay on the sideline and
no,
or what?
No, you want to jump right in. Okay, jump right in now, because if not, you're going to be left behind. A lot of people are talking online about this AI and Chat GPT and all of these other AI tools. They're going to replace jobs. People are going to be out of work. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be true in some limited cases. But I think what we're really going to see, jobs aren't going to be eliminated. Jobs are going to be changed. And so Chat GPT and other AI tools are going to become integrated within your jobs. And you're going to have to learn to use these tools in order to remain relevant.
Now, are you talking more so from a standpoint of like white collar jobs? What about blue collar jobs? Do you think they will be impacted by ChatGPT more or less?
I think any job that uses some technology, and it doesn't just have to be a computer, because AI can affect any machinery, any technology. So I think everyone is at risk for their job changing.
That is both interesting, intriguing, and scary at the same time, right? Would you say? Yeah.
But it's not scary if you jump in now and you learn how to embrace the technology.
Yeah. And make sure you're not left behind. That's the message, right? Mm-hmm. Don't get left behind is the message. Mm-hmm. So in the book, you talked about different things that you can use ChatGPT for. What about career search? Because, on LinkedIn, for example, there are like 1,000 recruiters. And off LinkedIn, there are so many job boards. And like, it's for someone, especially with all these layoffs, that can be very overwhelming. So could ChatGPT be helpful in somebody's job search? Could it narrow down industries and job posting? How can you jump on that?
It can absolutely be beneficial in your career search in more ways than one. I probably could write a book just about how you can use Chat GPT in your career search. But, when you're searching for a job, the advice is that you should always tailor your resume and your cover letter to the specific job that you're applying for, right? And so that can be pretty time consuming if your goal is to apply to 10 to 15 jobs per day and you're having to rewrite your cover letter and rewrite your resume for 10 to 15 jobs per day. That's a job in and of itself. But into Chat GPT. With Chat GPT, you can paste in the actual job that you're about to apply for. And then you can paste in your resume and your cover letter and tell it to rewrite both so that it's specific for that particular job.
Wow. Now, do you think the systems, the ATS, the application systems, the job screening systems will get upgraded to kind of watch for its Chat GPT created resume? You know what I mean? Like, do you think they're gonna try to like set those aside? Do you think there will be some kind of discrimination um, for people who actually use ChatGPT versus people who don't, as far as jobs, writing cover letters, or even writing project documentation? Do you think it's gonna be, ooh, you cheated, or you took the shortcut? What do you think?
When you think about it, from a career standpoint, people hire resume writers and career coaches all the time.
That's
so it's no
true.
different. It's just that you don't have to pay this one.
It's free. Well, the monthly, subscription fee.
But you don't even have to pay that. You can do this with the free version.
Oh, really?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm learning too. Like I got your ebook. I read it. I started, I had the OpenAI account and I was watching a lot of YouTube videos, and there's just so many. Again, it's like, which is the good one? Which is like, where do I go? So I'm learning, and this is a really good conversation even for myself, too. So career search, yes. What about exam prep?
You're asking very, very timely questions.
Or the Capcom exam prep. What about that?
So my recommendation is, you can use these AI tools and Chat GPT specifically to do research on areas, that you may be studying for, where you might need some more clarity, or it might help you if you needed some examples to help you with your studying. But what has come out this week, actually from PMI, is they tested ChatGPT to see if it could pass the PMP exam. And what they found was that it came in below target. So I don't know if it's quite there yet as far as giving you, example or sample questions or test banks and things like that, but you can use it for research as you study. You can also, and I tried this as an example, you can also use it to create a study plan or study schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another way that you could use it for.
So it may not be a magic bullet in terms of prepping for the PMP, but there are some things that it could be useful for, like you said, like the study plan creation, and I guess study
examples of concepts that maybe you don't understand. So here's another tip, right? So when you're using ChatGPT, you have so much control over how it responds to you, right? So let's say you were studying one of the processes to prepare for the PMP, and it was going over your head. You just didn't understand it. You could tell ChatGPT, explain this to me as if I was a 5-year-old, and it would do it.
Wow. Wow. I am I can't wait to kind of get into it, really dig into it and see what I can do. Because as a chapter leader, documentation is very non-existent, because there's so much going on. You're just trying to keep the wheels on. So I would love to see how I can use it to create documentation, like run books and SLOs and things like that, for my office, especially with transitioning from one leader to another. Onboarding plan, for example, I had to create an onboarding plan for volunteers that just came on. I'm really excited to see how I can use ChatGPT, not for work, because I would never dare, right? Even who my employer is. But I think on the personal side, the things that I do on the volunteering side, I can see myself getting lost in the capabilities of ChatGPT.
And don't forget about the simple documentation, like something like basic emails. As PMs, we write emails all day long. But hey, give that to your new virtual assistant. You just feed them the thought and the information and the tone of the email, and it'll handle it for you.
Wait, you can give tone instructions?
Absolutely, yes.
You can tell them not to be snappy and
yes. You can say, write this email as if you are a PMP certified project manager with 20 years of experience, and I want the tone to be formal, and I want it to be short. Yes, you can give it very exact detail.
Wow, that is interesting. This is mind blowing. Mind blowing. I did not know that. I'm very, like I said, I'm very interested. So this conversation with you is probably more for me. More like, to kind of bring you to our chapter and have a conversation with you. It's probably helping me more than anything. So we are nearing an hour, and it flew by, I feel. And we covered so many topics, so much ground. Let's see. Do you think ChatGPT can be integrated with other project management tools like Trello? I love Trello. That was one thing I did when I took my office. Okay. Is I have a Kanban, and I break down our work like quarterly, weekly. Do you think there will be some integration at one point? Or is that even possible today with the free or paid account?
Okay. So just a note on Trello. It's funny you mentioned that. I use Trello boards to manage my life. So remember I said my project is a life. So the tool that I use is Trello to manage my personal life. But so I think that all of the platforms, all of the tools are racing right now to integrate ChatGPT and, just AI in general to their platforms. But until they're ready, you don't have to wait. You can experiment with it right now. So I'm going to give you a tip. I'm not going to say it's a hack, because hack is kind of negative, but it's a tip. Mm-hmm. So you can go and set up a Zapier account, and that's Zapier, ZAPIER.com. So Zapier is a tool that lets you connect different apps, right? And so if you set up a Zapier account, you can set up what's called a Zap, where let's say I'm going to use Asana, right? So let's say you connect your Asana account and ChatGPT. And so you can have it set up so that as, my project team members are completing their task in Asana, I want you to send that notification to ChatGPT. So why is this helpful? Because for ChatGPT to really be useful to you, you always need to be constantly feeding it with data. So what better way to feed it with data than directly from the tasks that are being completed? And so you could come at the end of the week and say, now write me that status report, because it knows what's been done, what hasn't been done, etc.
Awesome. That is a great tip, because I'm on the free Trello account. Okay. My biggest pet peeve or gripe right now is the fact that I cannot export all the cards and find like a status report. Uh-huh. And with my chapter, we love free stuff, so it's not in the budget to have these paid accounts. So that's one thing. Like I have to visually go down and scroll and see, like, what did we do? Like, it would be so nice to be able to get information, like a summary report out of everything that we're doing, and on the Trello board. Wow, that's a good trick. I'm gonna check the Zapier hack or
see if they have an integration between Trello and ChatGPT. But I know there's one for Asana.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. We're dropping a lot of gems tonight, a lot of tips. So people definitely reach out to Keisha. Keisha is active on LinkedIn. I'm active on LinkedIn. The chapter is active on LinkedIn. We're talking about taking this conversation further, right, Keisha? We're talking about doing a webinar, like a hands-on webinar, where people, members, guests can actually get together and have a Zoom party, ChatGPT party, and try to do something structured, so we can all learn together. So Keisha and I, we have to put our heads together and work out the finer details. For one, the date, the time. We know what the location is. It's Zoom. Because with Central Illinois chapter, everything we do since COVID has been on Zoom. And for the foreseeable future, most events will be online. So watch for announcements from me, from Central Illinois, about the chat GPT webinar. I was almost going to call it a boot camp, but I don't want to call it a boot camp because I don't know. Webinar seems more, I don't know, less scary. So with that in mind, I guess, what is your vision for the book? Do you plan the ebook? Do you plan on adding more content to it? And releasing it as a official book on Amazon? Like, what is your next, what's your bucket list for PM Soil, or even for yourself personally, if you don't mind sharing?
Okay, so I'll talk about the book first and then PM Soil. So, for the book, I don't know if you noticed, but I intentionally named it Volume 1 because I knew that things were changing so fast with ChatGPT and with AI that I would likely have many volumes after. So now I'm actually updating it based upon the new things we're learning about GPT-4. And so, I do think eventually I would like to, release it on Amazon, but I want to do that once things are a little more stable. I don't want to release it and then next week we have GPT-15 or whatever. So that's what's going on with the book. But as far as PM Soil, I'm just really excited about building that community, and that's really going to be my next focus. So I just say for anyone that's interested in any capacity, whether you're interested in being a mentor, whether you want to be a mentee, I just encourage everyone right now, go visit www.thepmsoil.com. Don't forget thepmsoil.com, and complete the Grow With Us form. So for anybody that does that tonight, and that's just for tonight only, I'm going to send you 5 project management prompts. And one of them is going to be the prompt that I used, that I shared about the report. I saw someone in the chat said, can you repeat that? Well, guess what? If you go sign up on www.thepmsoil.com tonight, I will send it to you tonight, plus 4 more.
Awesome. We love discounts. We love freebies. So thank you for offering our viewers, our members, this opportunity. Because, like I said, prompts are like requirements to me, and you have to be trained to write them correctly. It's not like something that you just wake up and do. So thank you for offering that. As far as the chapter, we're going to work together on the webinar, and then we will announce it, when we know all the finer details. And then you guys, I hope those of you who hopped online tonight will join us for the webinar, because we didn't want to just go and have a ChatGPT meeting without explaining it, without explaining who Keisha Lewis was, why is she talking to us about ChatGPT. So today's event was, I guess, part 1, and then the webinar is like the part 2, and maybe there could be like a webinar 201, if everything works out. And we love working together as a chapter and with Keisha. So I'm 2 minutes away from 8 p.m. Let me wrap up. I just want to say to you, Keisha, thank you so much for getting my message, my DM.
I think she slid into my DMs.
I sure did. It was like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And you were up, so you must be a night owl like I am. So
yeah.
because you replied right away, and so thank you so much for being so open and so nice and kind with information. Because sometimes people like to give information either for some fee, and or they hold it because they want to be, I don't know, they're who they are, and you're not. You are so far like not like that. So I thank you for being the woman that you are, and I'm glad that you helped me close out Women's History Month. Even though I celebrate Women's History every day, every
day, every month.
Just like Black History, I'm all about it year round. Women's History, I'm all about it year round. So thank you for being my first guest for 2023. I hope to have more dynamic guests as we go, and I hope to do more of these lives as we go and get better at doing them. As far as the chapter, our next event is on April 11th. So we were talking about ChatGPT feeding it data. Well, the next event on April 11th is about how PMs can use data to make smart decisions. And the gentleman who will come and speak with us is Bill Dow. He's all over LinkedIn, all over different podcasts. He has books, he has a website, and he's out of Washington University, so up on the Pac West area. So it will be a virtual event, $10 if you are a member, $15 if you are a non-member, peanuts as far as I'm concerned for the knowledge and the caliber of speaker that he is. I hope all of you, whether you were on tonight's live or you're catching it on later, will make a point to register for our next event on the 11th of April, and then keep up with the social media account or just the LinkedIn. I make sure that we have content on LinkedIn every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. I want our chapter to be part of the project management community. I want people to think of our chapter as one of those chapters that provides information and opportunity. You don't have to be officially project managers. You can be an aspiring PM. We want to engage with you and see you in our meetings. So with that, I will just say thank you for letting me jump online. This was my very first live. I'm a very shy person.
Excellent.
I'm a very shy person. Like, if you know me, like, my mom's probably going to be like, what? You did what?
And I'm the same. I'm queen introvert, okay?
Yeah, so I guess I'm not shy. I'm more of a quiet, introspective person. But if I like something or I'm intrigued by something, I'll be like a chatterbox. Is that the word? I'll be nonstop all over it. But I'm glad we had the opportunity to share a little bit about you, Keisha, about your organization, PM Soil. I hope you all will take Keisha up on her offer. I think it's a great offer. I'm going to take you up. Again, I got the ebook. I would say, if you can, get the ebook, support her in what she's doing. And like she said, she plans on adding more content to it. So let's just ride with Keisha, support her, and support PMI Central Illinois, and really all the PMI chapters. They're all trying to do something positive out here. So let me just stop. And Keisha, one more time, thank you so much for saying yes.
Thank you for the invitation.
And thank you all for commenting, liking. Please follow our page, our company page, and I'll see you hopefully on the 11th of April, because that's our next event coming up. All right, so with that, I will close out the live. You guys have a great weekend, and be safe, be healthy, and see you all next time.
Bye.
Bye.